ever since this building opened in 2013, I've looked for excuses to come over here from Colony Hall, where my office is, because just walking in the front door of the building makes me really happy. There's something really extraordinary about the combination of 15,000 things created by MacDowell Fellows over 111 years, encased in this jewel, this furniture-like construction that is so simple and clean and full of so many comfortable, intimate places to work, small places to gather. I also broke out in a huge grin when I saw our next speaker yesterday afternoon when she arrived. Florence Ladd was I'd seen her, I met her 20 years ago, almost exactly, when she was here for a MacDowell Fellowship, shortly after the publication of her first novel. After I enjoyed a little time with her last night and today, I'm hoping that she'll be returning for her second MacDowell Fellowship sometime soon. She's an educator. In addition to being a writer, she's taught at Simmons and Harvard and Istanbul. She's had various leadership roles at MIT, Wellesley, and at Radcliffe's Bunting Institute. She serves on the boards of the Boston's MFA and Hampshire College, and earlier this year she was recognized with a W.B. Du Bois Medal. Please give a warm welcome to Florence Ladd.
Thank you, David, and thank you, MacDowell. I've been asked to say a few words about my personal acquaintance with James Baldwin. In September of 1962, a few days after arriving on the campus of Robert College in Istanbul, where I had been recruited to teach psychology, my then husband, and I were approached by a youthful faculty member, David Leeming, and invited to a party he was hosting. He said there would be dances from Konya and a special guest. The special guest was James Baldwin. With a glass in one hand and the other outstretched to greet everybody gathered at the party, he introduced himself as Jimmy. As the three of us, Jimmy, my then husband, and I, were the only African Americans at the party, and perhaps in all of Istanbul, we immediately assumed the shared weight of cultural and racial baggage. Acquainted with his works and attracted to his arresting eyes, throaty laughter, and social ease, I instantly wanted to become better acquainted with Jimmy. He was to spend a semester at Robert College, living with the Turkish playwright Engin Ceza and his actress wife. We had an apartment in Ayas Pasha near Taksim in Istanbul, and the Ceza's place was roughly halfway between our place and the campus of Robert College. I drove a black VW Beetle, and from time to time, Jimmy needed a ride to the college. I'd call for him at the appointed time. He wasn't ready. He would invite me to join him at breakfast. Salmon caviar, creme fraiche, black olives, white feta-like cheese, orange marmalade, bread, and tea. Eventually, we were on our way along the scenic westbound road that parallels the Bosphorus in perilous traffic. With confidence in his driver and little concern about the frequent risk of being crushed by a brightly painted oncoming truck or bus protected by appeals to Allah, Jimmy talked all the way. Sometimes he delivered a commentary on the struggle for racial and social equality in the United States. Sometimes his discourse was on the works of Henry James, Joseph Conrad, or one of his contemporaries, Mailer, Bellow, or Roth. And he sometimes talked about his work in progress, Blues for Mr. Charlie. Driving with Jimmy's continuous monologue was exciting and distracting. Our apartment was the setting for occasional gatherings for drinks or dinner with Jimmy, David Leeming, and others in their entourage. The conversations, always lively, carried us back and forth across the Atlantic. Political, racial, and socioeconomic issues were the major themes. Family relationships, flirtations, and affairs were minor matters. Jimmy's remarks, often prophetic pronouncements about the political propensities of the United States, dominated the discussions. We drank Turkish vodka infused with lemon zest and dined until midnight. During one such occasion, Jimmy asked my husband and me if we would read a draft of Blues for Mr. Charlie. We were thrilled. He wanted to know if the characters were authentic, their voices credible. We were fascinated by the narrative and expressed admiration and encouragement for the work, a work that since has captured the interest of actors and audiences for decades. The last time I saw Jimmy was on August 2nd in 1987. His health was declining and his reputation had declined. It was a small gathering that included his neighbors in Saint-Paul-de-Vence and a few friends. He had invited some celebrities who didn't come, and he was disappointed and in a way felt that his reputation and his celebrity had declined. He felt nobody knew his name at that time. Well, I wish he could know what's happening now. In recent times, the scholarly interest and political interest in the works of James Baldwin are at an all-time high. There is a James Baldwin Review at Hampshire College. There is a program for James Baldwin scholars. There are films and exhibitions about James Baldwin. There are international conferences biannually dedicated to his works and his legacy. And I asked Gloria Baldwin Carifa Smart if there are other buildings named for James Baldwin. She said, after querying the estate, that she knew of no other. There are plaques on places where he lived, but this library bears his name and carries on his reputation. So here and beyond here, everybody knows his name. Viva Jimmy.